China bans Bitcoin. Will Bitcoin collapse? This video is part of our ongoing series in cryptocurrencies. Those of you that saw the first one would know it doesn't take a lot to exhaust my knowledge. That is why I recruited someone with a little more knowledge than me, Andrei Jikh, the popular YouTube. There's a link in the description to his channels, to have a conversation with a little more depth, a little more clarity, a little bit more expertise on the subject of Bitcoin. In this part of the conversation from my podcast, Under the Skin, available on Luminary, I asked about whether or not Bitcoin will collapse as a result of the actions of China.
There was news that just came out that China is trying to ban Bitcoin, and the price fell 25% today in a single day. And that's because a lot of people believe that Bitcoin is centralized to China. But the truth is that if you're a single miner, let's say I have these fancy ASIC computers, the odds of me and my computer solving a block and finding it to get my 6.25 Bitcoin reward is almost infinitesimally small. So in order to compensate for that, I have to join what's called a mining pool, which is a group of people that come together collectively to use their computing power to try to solve these blocks. That's the only way to increase your chance of becoming profitable. Otherwise, if you're by yourself, you're just paying for electricity. You're just not doing anything.
One of the things that was very good about this episode is Andrei gave me a basic understanding of the fundamentals of Bitcoin. The main thing I was interested in discovering, is this a viable alternative to existing currencies, and does it make a meaningful difference to the control of the financial world on the lives of ordinary people? And indeed, is it an opportunity for ordinary people to get a hand in and make some money out of the currency world? But it's such a fascinating conversation anyway, because it's truly something alien in some regards, the way that it is actually functioning, doing something, using electricity, solving puzzles. There's miners, and that it expires at a certain point. I learned so many things about Bitcoin that I'm still sort of thinking about whether or not are a kind of joke, like he's taking the piss out of me, this guy, but it's actually sort of an extraordinary modern myth.
And so when these miners release data as far as who's located where, and 30% is coming from here and 40% is coming from there, the truth is here in Las Vegas, I can actually join, let's say, Ant Pool. That's one of the largest Chinese mining pools.
I was thinking, I'm beginning to understand this now. And then he says, you could join Ant Pool. Oh, bloody hell. Is this a Marvel film?
So I can join Ant Pool from here in Vegas and contribute to the hash power that is in China. And when these miners release their data, it looks as though it's all centralized in China. But the reality could be that there's people all over the world, from China, from Germany, Switzerland, Russia, wherever they are, contributing to the security of this network. So that's kind of the difficult part of knowing where Bitcoin really actually is it's clustered. It's such a fluid concept that these people are not necessarily corporations. They could move anywhere they want because they're always financially incentivized to go to a place that suits them the best.
So in a sense, it's like Bitcoin has no geographical tie. I asked questions like, well, what happens if China does ban it? What if the US bans it? He indicated that existing political relationships would prohibit those kind of unified actions against Bitcoin, i.e. if one country bans it, another country won't ban it because of the economic advantage it would endow upon them to not ban it. So it does sound like a truly innovative thing, and something that is unique, at least in the world of finance. I recognize there are other cryptocurrencies now, but even they, according to Andrei, who knows a lot more about it than me, are not direct replications of what Bitcoin does in terms of its deep pragmatic reality.
So if I'm a miner in China and I have millions and millions of dollars of these computer equipment, I could just move my stuff somewhere else and continue onward. So it's kind of a null point. China's not really that important in that case.
Perhaps the dislocation of this financial world from geographical location might mean that it presents and affords opportunities that might otherwise not be available. As Andrei says, elsewhere, people from Zimbabwe can invest in ways that they simply wouldn't be able to using the indigenous currencies of their nation. If you think about the amount of prejudice that is packaged into where you're from and the kind of class you're born into, race you're born into, perhaps this anonymous Bitcoin world that is transparent, traceable, yet somehow anonymous, it might afford new opportunities for wealth in ways that cross borders in a truly global way.
With countries banning currencies or really anything, what they're actually doing when they ban things is they're running an ad marketing campaign for the currency. That's all they're doing. Because when one country bans whatever it is, whether it's crypto or a product or anything else, there are dozens of other countries in this world that will happily accept this crypto or this form of payment or product or whatever it is, because every country wants to incentivize economic growth. Whether it's they'll give favorable taxes or they won't tax it at all. There's some countries in this world that won't even tax Bitcoin. They're like, hey, come, all of you miners, come live here. We're going to allow you to build your businesses here. We're not going to tax you.
Bring your miners, your huddled masses. It's still, to me, a peculiar world to get a grip on, but I guess if we are to look at innovative solutions to the problems the world faces, there is going to be a degree of bafflement when we encounter these novel ideas. And whilst, to me, the fact that Bitcoin still seems to be alloyed to conventional financial ideas, such as if you've got a great deal of resources, you can buy a load of Bitcoins, you can manage it, manipulate it, powerful people can influence it by speaking ill of it in the public sphere, for example. It does seem to be at least a breach into a new economic territory that is untethered from ordinary financial power or conventional, or at least existing.
And so where China or the US bans crypto, I promise you there's going to be dozens more to replace it. It's like a hydra. You cut off one head, there's 3 more that pop up. Unlike corporations, they don't have to ask permission from our governments, right? Whereas with Bitcoin and crypto, we don't need to ask for permission. Corporations do. They need permissions from the government to operate whatever way they choose to operate. They have to follow set rules and guidelines. With crypto, there is no asking for permission in the same way that the way the internet works today, there is no off switch. The internet doesn't need permission from anybody to exist. It just does. It's kind of like the Pandora's box has been opened. Same idea with Bitcoin. It requires no permission from the government to exist and operate.
I suppose one thing you could draw from that is that, I'm often skeptical about innovation in the tech world because of its clear ties to big business and corporate objectives and agenda. But this shows you that genuinely new scapes can emerge from the tech world that are not just continuations of existing mentalities around commerce and finance, but actually sort of novel phenomena, and potentially therefore other entirely new things could emerge within that realm.
And when the new financial system is going to be rebuilt, whenever that is, if we ever get this collapse, Bitcoin will not need to ask for permission to be what replaces it with. It just will, because it's already built and it's already being built. And so when it's ready, people just migrate over to what is technologically more superior. It doesn't need permission.
So why don't you keep watching our series as we evolve our understanding of cryptocurrencies. Tell us what else you want us to look at in this area. Like, subscribe, don't turn on the notification bell. I see that as a push too far. Comment, and please subscribe to my mailing list. Thanks.